Depression is more than feeling sad, right? Or going through a rough patch. Depression is a serious mental health condition that requires understanding and medical care. If left untreated, it can be devastating for those who experience it and their families. Some tools that I personally use is "this too shall pass."
This too shall pass.
So some positive mantras, reminding ourselves that pain is inevitable, but suffering is an option. We have the power and the skills to change our situations. Maybe it will take some time. Maybe there's
Welcome, Linwood Unified School District families, to another episode of Beyond the Classroom. As we continue honoring Mental Health Awareness Month, we wanted to make sure that we introduce you to some of our licensed clinical social workers here at Linwood Unified. So we're very excited to have Gloria Nuñez here with us, and she is currently at Hoster Middle School. She's been there almost going on 3 years as our licensed clinical social worker, providing support, mental health support, workshops, and a lot of other things that are probably not under your job description, but she has such a big heart, and we wanted to bring her here today so you can know as a community who is working with our students here in Linwood Unified. So as I mentioned earlier, as we continue talking about mental health awareness, we wanted to talk about a topic that is probably very near and dear to our hearts, because I think at some point or another, it's things that we struggle with. And I wanted to learn more. I personally wanted to learn more. And I know many parents, families, I think talking about it helps us understand a little bit better and how we can support ourselves and anyone that we might know that is going through it. So today we're going to talk about depression, and it's understanding depression, and just learning a little bit more on how that can affect anyone going through it, us, if we ever get to that point, and how to overcome it, because it's really important to talk about overcoming things that are normal that happen in this world. So welcome, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's an honor, and I'm glad that I can provide some support and some information about this very sensitive subject that affects a lot of our families.
Yes, absolutely. So let's dive right in. What is depression? Okay. What is it? What does it look like? And any other information that you know about it?
Okay. Well, first of all, depression is more than feeling sad, right? Or going through a rough patch. Depression is a serious mental health condition that requires understanding and medical care. If left untreated, it can be devastating for those who experience it and their families. Fortunately, though, depression can be treated with early diagnosis, treatment planning, psychotherapy. Sometimes it may consist of medication, but a lot of people can and do get better.
Good. That's good to know. And what are some of the causes of depression? What can lead a person to get into depression?
There's not a single cause per se. It can be a life crisis that can lead to depression. It can be changes in circumstances. It may be a physical illness that may trigger depression. Several factors that may contribute to depression are trauma, especially at an early age. If a child experiences a traumatic event, that changes the way the brain responds to stress and fear, and that can lead to depression. Other circumstances can be genetics. Some may argue that it may be behavioral, because that's what they're experiencing at home, that's what they see, and that's what it's been modeled, so they repeat the behavior. Other factors may be changes in the brain, an accident, right, that causes brain trauma, can cause depression. Physical illnesses like diabetes can mimic some symptoms of depression, in addition to substance misuse and just life circumstances, right? Wow. Like separation, grief and loss, coming to a new country, learning a different language, All those things can cause depression.
Wow. So there's a lot of factors that can contribute
Yes.
to this. Can I call it an illness?
Yes.
To this illness. Okay. Um, so being that we're in this world and there's a lot of things around us that we deal with, what should we actively be doing to be aware when we are going into this path of depression?
First of all, have hope. I think instilling hope in individuals that go through this is very important because they may think that they're stuck in that moment, and that may lead to other devastating symptoms, right? But instilling hope, taking care of themselves, using healthy, you know, uh, changes or lifestyle changes can help you manage and prevent depression.
What are some of those healthy lifestyle changes that can help prevent it?
First of all, basic factors like eating well, eating healthy, sleeping, movement, whether it's exercise, joining a sport, that's the best antidepressant you can take. In addition to taking care of your body and going to medical checkups regularly, you can take care of your mind by reading, writing, coloring, drawing. You can take care of your soul by listening to music, going out in nature, praying, meditating, spending time with loved ones, in addition to volunteering. That also helps a lot.
Volunteering.
Yes.
And how? Speak a little on that.
Because sometimes we think that our problems are big and impossible to solve. And then when you volunteer, you have the opportunity to see others less fortunate. And that brings empathy, that brings humbleness to a person that is already struggling to realize that I'm not the only one. And there's other people maybe in worse situations than I am. And that gives us gratitude. And that's another factor that can help us, or protective factor that can help us against depression.
So when and going back to being aware that it's something that you're possibly dealing with, I think that would probably be the first step to understand,
Yes.
like, I need to be more active in these things because I feel like I'm going through this path. Is that something that you would say? Because sometimes I'm thinking like, well, how do I know if I'm going through this? Like, how do I know if I'm getting depressed?
Right. To be clinically diagnosed with depression, you have to experience some symptoms, at least four of several symptoms, for more than 2 weeks, which is a short period of time, right? If you're going through a life change or life crisis, you're going to experience some symptoms for more than 2 weeks. But some of those factors are loss of interest or loss of pleasure in activities that you used to enjoy, fatigue, lack of concentration or motivation, maybe feeling helpless or hopeless. That can lead to thoughts of suicide or any attempts, right? And that's where depression can be delicate and very dangerous for our families and our kids.
That's good to know. I like that. I mean, I know that that timeline is flexible and it's not
Yes.
set, but at least as a person, if you're going through, let's say, the loss of someone, and we had another episode and we talked about that, like grief and loss. But I think it's important for us as people to pay attention to that, exactly
Yes.
what you said. If I keep feeling a certain way for a while
Mm-hmm.
and it's above the normal,
Right.
seek help,
Absolutely.
because it might be going through the phase of it could get worse
Correct.
with time.
I think for parents and staff, right, something that we emphasize is to pay attention to changes in the norm, like you said, right? And what's common behavior for that student. Any changes, any drastic changes, pay attention and inquire about, provide support, definitely.
So speaking in the parent lens, if we're parents and
Yes.
we notice a change that is longer than normal,
Yes.
longer than 2 weeks with our child, then we need to be vigilant and
Absolutely.
have those conversations.
Yes.
Is it fair or not fair, but is it safe to ask my child, do you feel depressed?
Absolutely. I think having an open and clear conversation about it invites the opportunity to get some answers. Definitely be ready, provide the space and the time to have that conversation, that delicate conversation. You don't have to do it alone. You can do it with a support person, whether it's family member or staff, to have that conversation with your child and be able to provide support. And it's fair to say to your kid, I don't know what to do with this. I don't know how to help you, but I will find help for you and we'll go through it together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the best tips that we can ever receive as a parent, and give anyone watching, it's okay to say, I don't know what to do with this.
Yes.
Because we want our kids to think we know everything, but we don't.
Yeah.
And I think that makes us more human.
Absolutely.
With our kids, and say, wow, my mom is not perfect, and that's okay because I'm not perfect.
Right. And doesn't know it all.
And doesn't know it all.
And even some staff, we're not perfect and we don't know it all, but we'll work together. I think it's about not leaving them alone more than knowing the right answer. It's more than letting them know that you're not alone in this.
Yeah.
And
Because
I'm here with you.
And they already feel alone.
Absolutely. They're already feeling alone. They're already feeling like they're a burden. They're already feeling guilty. They're already feeling worthless. So we want to tackle those feelings and remind our kids that they are valued. They are important. And we love them and care about them.
Yeah. When we talk about depression and how to support someone with depression,
yes,
I think that, I've seen someone with depression, and it was difficult for me on how do I support them.
Yes.
Because the first part of me, and I'm not proud to say this, but my first reaction was, what's wrong with you? You have everything that you need. You have a room, you have a bed, you're given everything.
Yes.
And why are you feeling this way? You shouldn't feel this way.
Right.
And I had to self-reflect. I had to speak to a therapist. I had to get some clarity and understanding that we are not the same people as this generation is.
Yes.
And the challenges are different than the challenges we went through. So what would you tell a parent or just anyone that might have to support someone that is going through it?
Absolutely. And first of all, I'm sorry that you went through it yourself, that this topic is so close to you. And I think it's very close to many of us, right? In one point or another in our lives. And it's very common what you're saying. And I hear it from our families where they tell their kids, you shouldn't be crying over this. Their hardships growing up were maybe tougher, but what I would say is that there's no comparison. We're living in a different times, different worlds, different stressors, and not to invalidate anybody's experience. They're just different, and we gotta deal with them differently because we're different people and we're living in a different situation nowadays. And it's okay to try to push someone to get out of bed, to go outside, to engage in movement, out in nature, spend time with families. And it's also okay to lay down next to them, try to play some music, talk to them, cuddle with them, to provide that emotional support.
So what are some tips? Because to me, I find them very powerful when we give actual tips. Like you already mentioned one, but what else can we do as a parent to tell them? Like, let's say a student is going through it, a child is going through it, your spouse is going through it, your sibling is going through it. What are some good reaffirming words that we can use in our toolbox just to have it?
Absolutely. And usually that's the case. When someone is going through it, everybody's affected by it, right? Some tools that I personally use is, this too shall pass.
This too shall pass.
So some positive mantras, reminding ourselves that pain is inevitable, but suffering is an option. We have the power and the skills to change our situations. Maybe it will take some time. Maybe there's certain situations that can be changed, like when we lose someone.
Mm-hmm.
But we can definitely, our perception towards that event can change and make us feel better about the situation that we're living in.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that I remember I had to learn is I'm here for you. Let me
Yes.
know how I can help you.
Absolutely.
Because I remember wanting to fix things. And when you want to fix things, sometimes you want to fix it your own way.
Yes.
And it's not always the best way.
Right.
You know?
And you want to fix it now.
I want to fix it now.
And you want a quick solution. And that's not how depression works. Just like grief, it goes through waves. One time they'll be smiling and they seem happy or they seem okay. And then other times they're not. And you may be wondering what just happened. And it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of patience, but foremost, I would say a lot of compassion with yourself and what you're trying to do for others and in that person struggling. Because it's okay to applaud whatever you're doing right. And when you fail or when you think that you're not doing well, just be compassionate with yourself. That's, I think, something that I would also suggest for someone that's struggling with it and their families.
Compassion for yourself.
Yes.
That's what a lot of the other therapists say. Especially when, like, let's say a mom,
Yes.
Moms are very active in the homes.
Yes.
They do a lot with everyone, for everyone. And sometimes we're hard on ourselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we're also working moms.
And working moms.
In addition to the job that a lot of our parents have as parents, right? And some of them alone. So it's a difficult task, and reminding yourself that you're doing the best that you can, given what you have, and that you can always learn and utilize all these resources that our district provides, all the support for our families, and just being kind with yourself. Know that you're doing your best, and if you don't think you are, then keep learning. That's all we can do. Keep learning, keep trying.
And I think a big key to a lot of this is prevention.
Yes. Prevention.
And it's staying aware of things that we can do to prevent.
Yes.
There's things that, life hits us hard that we can't prevent certain things from happening.
Correct.
But going back to what you said earlier about our nutrition.
Yes.
And we had another episode on nutrition, on the importance of physically moving.
Yes.
On sleeping.
Yes.
Like, I don't think we talk about the importance of sleep enough.
Yes.
As society, like, everybody wants to, like, get as much in as we can during the day. But we actually did have another podcast where Mr. Reed talks about the importance of sleep. That's where our whole insides recuperate. Correct. And if we don't give our body that, then other things can be affected, especially our mental health.
Absolutely. When we sleep, yes, our body regenerates and it heals. Our mind gets clear. So sleeping is very important. It's a form of self-care. Sometimes self-care is not doing things that we want to do, but doing things that we need to do, like sleep. It's a necessity and a basic need. Yeah. So sleeping, eating, hydrating, drinking water, moving, our body needs that. In addition to filling our mind with positive things, right? I think another factor that contributes to a lot of depression is social media, right? What I remind students is that what you see there is the best version. You don't see the background. You just see the snapshot or the picture, right? But you don't see the struggles. You don't know if that's even real. And then the comparison begins, right? So that's something also that monitor what they're watching, who they're socializing, and being there to prevent students from leading to depression. Being there, being involved, and showing them your care. That's how you prevent depression.
I was about to ask you that. As a middle school,
Yes.
therapists, what do you see happening a lot with social media? And this is exactly,
Yeah.
you answered it. You answered it. And we see it too much.
Yeah.
We see it too much. So, parents, when we talk about social media, phone usage, I always say, and I know I get a lot of like negative comments about a student should be 16 before they have a phone.
Mhm.
I know that's not realistic. And
Right.
I know that's not, that's not reality, but students do not have the capacity, the emotional capacity to understand the why.
Correct.
And there's a lot of dangers to it.
Yes.
There's a lot of dangers to social media,
Yes.
including depression, because kids
Absolutely.
compare themselves.
Yes. And the negative messages that they receive,
Yes.
and the hateful words that they see,
Yes.
the images and it's so rapid. That's what's dangerous about it. That it's quick access. And students are absorbing that information and internalizing that information, and that can lead to depression.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If I can get rid of anything, I think I would get rid of that right now, because I see the dangers that it's doing to our young kids,
Yes.
to our kids in general. And I see it more in girls. I don't know if you see that, because I think girls are more vulnerable to the image than boys are. It's different with the boy situation, but with girls, I feel like girls care about how they look more. They compare their bodies to other bodies. All of that. And it's so dangerous.
Boys do too. They worry about performance, and they do also worry about how they look. I think the difference is that girls can be more vocal than boys are.
That's true.
But boys and girls, yeah,
Wow.
they worry a lot about the same things,
Yeah.
and that affects the relationships with peers, with adults,
Yeah.
and what they choose to do as well.
Yeah. We saw as a district a heightened number of students going through depression during the pandemic.
Yes.
Because they were at home. They had no access to adults, to students, to socialization, and it was just them and their phones.
Right.
Right. No student. They lost everything in one day, just like everybody did. No interaction, and we're 5 years in, and we're still recuperating from that.
Yeah, I think the pandemic marked a before and after, and we will continue to see that if we don't make positive, healthy changes in our lifestyles. Because when that happened, not only was it we were robbed from going outside and socializing, going to school, to work, but students were also, and families were also living in a state of fear. Am I going to lose my job? Am I going to lose my house? Am I going to lose my loved ones?
Yeah.
And that's something that I think it was a grieving. We lost a lot.
Yeah.
And I think we're still grieving from it. Whether you lost someone or you lost something. And again, it marked a before and after. And it's about adjusting and adapting to our reality now and our circumstances now, and just doing the best with what we have.
Staying positive.
Staying positive.
Yeah.
Moving forward, doing what we can.
Yeah.
And grieving when we can't.
Yeah. I tell my kids, when something negative happens, I want you to tell me the positives.
Yes.
Because there's always something positive in the middle of something negative.
Yes.
We see it as negative because sometimes as humans, we see the negative in a lot of things. But changing our mindset is so important.
Absolutely.
On how we see things.
Yes.
Like, what is the positives out of this? How can you look at this experience as something positive? Like, one year, my son was in a really bad car accident. He's a new driver, it happens. It's normal. You're learning how to drive. I had to talk to him. What are the positives and really, it really was for myself.
Right.
Because that's your child.
Yes.
And that's one of the biggest fears that as kids get older and they start driving and is car accidents. Yes. Because it's very normal, right, for new drivers to learn and have accidents. So that was one of my fears. And I had to talk to him and I had to tell him, what was one of the positives that came out of this? And he himself said, well, it's really had me reflect on maybe I need to slow down.
Mhm.
Maybe I need to make better stops.
Yeah.
Or whatever it is. Like, we have to look at that. And for me personally, I started thinking maybe this accident, it could have been worse.
Absolutely.
It was a way of saying, like, look, you need to be careful. And it's a reminder,
Yeah.
and I want that way you get better future driving.
Yeah.
It's kind of like you have to change your mindset.
Absolutely.
Because we can go into that dark circle.
Yes. And that's what can lead to depression, right? Those negative self-talk and those distorted cognitive errors. That's what we can lead to depression as well. But definitely after every negative or difficult situation, look at the positives, right?
Mhm.
For every negative, there's 3 or 5 comments that we can think of.
Yes.
And it's a matter of perception a lot of times.
Yeah.
That what makes a difference from one person going into depression and one person being resilient about that situation.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody has that capacity, that ability to change their perception with their support, right? And if they don't have it at home, they can find it at school. They can utilize resources out in the community. There's always someone willing to help,
Mm-hmm.
and help is available and it's free for all of us.
And let's talk about very quickly how anxiety can be connected to that, because, like, giving my example, like, if I didn't change my mindset, then I'm going to be anxious every time that the kids are driving, or anytime that, you know what I mean? Whatever experience it is. And before I started learning about mental health, I always thought that anxiety and depression were the same. I never understood. Now I know the difference, but why do people think anxiety and depression are the same?
Because they can co-occur. They oftentimes do. Depression can lead to anxiety, and anxiety can lead to depression. They usually go hand in hand, but they are very different. Depression is something that someone is stuck in, something that happened to them, and they're struggling overcoming it. Anxiety is someone that's worried about the future, or worried about something that can happen that hasn't happened yet. So it's, again, a matter of perception, right? So that's the distinct differences between depression and anxiety. But they can go hand in hand and co-occur. That's why they're sometimes confused with being one and the same.
The first episode that came out for Mental Health Awareness Month was Understanding Anxiety. And one of the statements that I remember was made was, and I don't know if I made it or our presenter made it, but I heard a report about 80 to 90% of the things that we worry about never happen.
Correct. Yeah. But it consumes us.
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's powerful, because anytime we worry about something, we should remember that.
Absolutely.
Like, we worry about 80 to 90% of the things that never even happen.
Yes.
If we go back and think of things that we worried about that never happened, we're like, wait a minute, so much time that took of my worry, of my peace, of my joy, of my happiness, and it never even happened.
And your energy.
Because
it's draining, anxiety, depression. And it doesn't let you focus on what you do have right now, on the moment, on being present. Yes. Whether it's depression or anxiety, whether you're thinking back of something that happened that is hard to overcome, or something that may happen that maybe will not. And then you miss the moment. You miss being present in the moment and enjoying what you do have right now.
Yeah. I think a lot of us are guilty of that, but I think the mindset, being proactive, being aware, because, like we've learned, it's okay to have feelings. It's okay to process them. And like one of the other therapists said, you have to give yourself that space to process.
Yes.
That way it doesn't lead to something more severe.
And you have to go through it.
A
lot of people go around it, or numb themselves,
or
avoid it.
Yeah.
You have to go through it. You need to allow yourself to go through that emotion, whatever it may be. And no feelings are bad feelings. They're all here to help us. They're all signals that we need to work on something or that we're lacking something that we need to fulfill in ourselves and go through it and then overcome it and go through it again.
No,
As many times.
it's hard.
It
It's hard
is.
going through,
It
especially if
is.
we weren't raised and trained that way when we were young.
Yes.
You know, it was very push forward. Don't feel that way.
Yes.
But I think we're at a time that we are talking about our feelings and we need to allow us to process. And I'm very proud of us as a district because we're teaching our kids something that we were never taught.
Yes.
Which is social emotional learning on how to process your feelings and your emotions with the goal of our students being resilient,
yes,
and strong, understanding how to process. So I know you work closely with that in our district.
Yes.
So thank you for being part of that.
Thank you.
How do you see the kids responding to the support that they've been receiving?
Honor by their trust in me, by their courage and sharing their stories with me. I like how they utilize the resource and the support, how they're sharing with one another. Go talk to Miss Nuñez. I mean, that humbles me and it reminds you of the reason why I do what I do and why I enjoy it so much.
Yeah. And I know that you guys are working on the wellness center.
It's already open.
It's already open.
It's already open.
Where kids can go.
Yes.
And receive support.
Yes.
If they need that safe space.
Yes.
It's there. And for middle school age, that is so important. Yes. That is so important for the kids to have a place where they can go get that support.
Yeah. Or that little break.
Or
maybe it was a rough morning. Maybe something happened over the weekend. Maybe their families are going through something and they just need that little space so they can self-regulate, so they can slow down, so they can receive support.
Yeah. Self-regulate. That's powerful. We all need that. Yes. We all need to know, so I'm glad that we're teaching our kids how to do that.
Yes.
So depression is a time where people stay in their past and can't get out of it. And the goal is did I say that right? On what the definition of depression is?
Well, it's more than feeling sad, right?
You're right. More than feeling sad.
It's a mood disorder.
A mood disorder.
Yeah. That changes how you think, how you eat, how you sleep, how you behave. But yeah, it's usually something that already happened that you're struggling to overcome.
Okay. It's something that already happened that we're struggling to overcome.
Yes.
Okay. Well, it's good that we define it so when people are going through it or, they understand it, they process it, and we seek help. We do what we have to do to move forward because there is hope.
Absolutely.
There is always hope in any situation. We never want anyone to feel like there's no hope.
Yes.
And there's support.
Absolutely.
Part of this podcast was to bring awareness, and anyone hearing that might not have access to support, please know that every school has a licensed clinical social worker, a social emotional learning specialist, and just our health collaborative, where even if you're not a student, we have partners that can support you as a community member. It is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we want everyone to know that there's resources out there.
Absolutely.
So before we end today's podcast, is there something that you would like to share with the families?
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to all the students for giving me the honor of serving you, again, for trusting me with your stories and for having the courage to ask for help and share the resource. I thank you for that. Thank you to all the families for trusting us and for your support and collaboration. Your strength and your efforts does not go unnoticed. So thank you.
Thank you, Gloria. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
So again, any support that you need, please don't hesitate. Go to your local school site. Come here to the district office. We are here to support. As part of Mental Health Awareness Month, there's going to be activities happening at your school sites. So please check them out. We hope you benefit from them and know that you are not alone. We are here to support you, help you, and guide you because your mental health matters And all of our mental health matters.
Yeah.
And we're here to work together because, like we used to say during the pandemic, because together we are stronger,
Absolutely.
you know? So, with that being said, thank you for joining us. And we hope that you're able to find resources. Again, our website, www.mylusd.org. If you click on student services and then you click on mental health, there's a lot of resources there as well for your support. If you need it, please look it out, look at it, check on, the resources that are there, and we're here to support you, guide you, and help you.
Thank you.
So with that being said, have a great rest of your day. Thank you for joining us today.
Take care.